Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a crisis that is growing silently but dangerously. A crisis that could change the future of an entire nation. Iran is running dry, and the breaking point has finally arrived. This is not just another story about drought. This is about a country that is slowly losing its rivers, lakes, underground water, and the basic foundation of daily life. When water disappears, everything else starts to collapse, and that is exactly what is happening right now. For thousands of years, Iran survived in one of the world's harshest climates by respecting water as a sacred resource. Ancient Persia developed some of the most advanced water systems of its time. Qanats carried water through underground tunnels from distant mountains to dry cities. Water was stored, shared, and protected. Communities understood that survival depended on careful balance. But in modern times, that balance has been lost. Rapid population growth, aggressive farming methods, industrial expansion, and climate change have pushed Iran's water systems to the edge of collapse. Across the country, rivers that once supported millions of people are drying out. The Zay-and-Rud River in Isfahan, once a symbol of life and culture, now lies empty for most of the year. Its historic bridges stand over cracked earth instead of flowing water. The Karan River, once mighty and reliable, has been heavily dammed and diverted, leaving downstream regions struggling to survive. Rivers that shaped cities and civilizations are now reduced to dust, and with them, the certainty of life is disappearing. One of the most powerful symbols of Iran's water crisis is Lake Urmia. Once one of the largest salt lakes in the world, it was a vital part of the region's ecosystem. It supported wildlife, tourism, and agriculture. Today, the lake has lost most of its water. What remains is mostly salt, covered land that cracks under the sun. Toxic salt storms rise from the dry lake bed, destroying crops and harming human health. Villages around the lake suffer from unemployment, illness, and environmental damage. A lake that once gave life now spreads nothing but dust. Underground water reserves, also known as aquifers, are being drained faster than nature can ever replace them. These reserves took thousands of years to form. Now, in just a few decades, they are nearly gone. Farmers and industries drilled wells deeper and deeper, chasing disappearing water. As these underground spaces empty, the ground above collapses. This has caused widespread land subsidence, where the earth slowly sinks. Roads crack, buildings tilt, pipelines break, and entire neighborhoods become unsafe. This damage is permanent and irreversible. Agriculture has become both a victim and a cause of the water crisis. Farming consumes the majority of Iran's water, but much of it is wasted due to outdated irrigation systems. Instead of modern drip irrigation, flood irrigation is still widely used, allowing water to evaporate before reaching plant roots. Crops that require massive amounts of water are grown in dry regions. Farmers are trapped in a system where they must use more water to survive, but using more water pushes them closer to collapse. Cities are now feeling the pressure more than ever. Water rationing has become normal. Many urban areas experience water cuts that last hours or even days. People store water in tanks, buckets, and bottles, never knowing when the next shortage will happen. Tanker trucks deliver emergency water supplies to entire neighborhoods. Hospitals, schools, and factories suffer from unreliable water access. The mental stress of living without water security is spreading across the country. As rural communities lose access to water, they have no choice but to migrate. Families abandon farms that existed for generations and move to overcrowded cities. This creates rapid urban growth that cities were never designed to handle. Housing becomes scarce, jobs become competitive, social tensions rise. Informal settlements appear on the outskirts of major cities. This migration is changing Iran's demographic landscape and placing enormous pressure on already fragile infrastructure. Climate change has accelerated this crisis beyond control. Iran is experiencing hotter temperatures, longer droughts, and more unpredictable rainfall. Snowfall in mountain regions has decreased significantly, meaning rivers receive less water during the dry season. Heat waves have become more frequent and extreme, increasing evaporation from lakes, rivers, and reservoirs. Even if human mismanagement were solved overnight, climate change alone would still place Iran under enormous water stress. Environmental damage continues to spread. Wetlands have dried up, forests weaken, soil loses its moisture and structure. Dust storms have become larger and more frequent, carrying salt and toxic particles into cities and farmlands. Air quality drops and respiratory illnesses rise. Children and the elderly suffer the most. Wildlife loses habitat. Entire ecosystems slowly collapse. What once was a diverse natural landscape is becoming a fragile, dusty expanse. The economic impact is devastating. Agriculture failures reduce food supply, driving up prices. Factories that rely on water reduce production or shut down. Tourism disappears in dried lake regions. Workers lose jobs. Communities lose income. The cost of importing food and treating polluted water rises. The country faces a future where scarcity becomes expensive and survival becomes a daily financial struggle. Public anger is growing. Across the country, protests over water shortages have increased. People block roads, chant slogans, and demand fair access to water. Tensions rise between provinces as they accuse each other of stealing or diverting water resources. Farmers fight for irrigation water. City residents demand clean drinking water. Water is no longer a background issue. It is now a central political and social battleground. Despite the growing darkness, there is still a fight for survival. Some reforms have started. Authorities have shut down illegal wells. New water-saving technologies are being introduced. Some farmers are switching to less water-intensive crops. Wastewater recycling projects are quietly expanding. Desalination plants are being considered in coastal regions. These efforts are still small compared to the size of the crisis, but they represent the beginning of resistance against total collapse. Education is becoming an important tool. People are slowly learning about water conservation, recycling, and smarter usage. Communities are starting to understand that survival depends on change. Schools teach children about saving water. Cities promote conservation campaigns. Culture begins to shift, slowly but surely, toward more responsible use of limited resources. Iran's story is not just about one country. It is a warning to the world. Water is disappearing in many parts of the planet. From droughts in Africa to shrinking reservoirs in the United States, the pattern is repeating. Iran is simply further down the path. This makes its experience incredibly valuable as a lesson. What we ignore today could become our crisis tomorrow. The psychological impact of living in a water-scarce nation is profound. Fear becomes normal. Uncertainty becomes routine. People begin to constantly plan around shortages. Water becomes not just a resource, but a daily obsession. Stress, anxiety, and frustration grow quietly in households across the land. This emotional cost is rarely measured, but it is real and powerful. The breaking point is not a single moment. It is a slow realization that the old way of life can no longer continue. It is when a farmer realizes his well will never refill. It is when a city goes dry for a full day. It is when a child grows up never having seen a full river. Iran is approaching that breaking point, if it has not already crossed it. There is still time, but not much. Solutions exist, but they require urgency, cooperation, and sacrifice. Water must be priced responsibly. Usage must be strictly monitored. Crops must be adapted. Infrastructure must be modernized. Climate realities must be faced honestly. These changes are difficult, but they are necessary for survival. The story of Iran running dry is not just about disaster. It is about a fight to adapt, a fight to survive, a fight to change before it is too late. Nations are not only tested by war or economics, but by nature itself. And right now, water is the battlefield. As we reflect on this crisis, one truth stands above all others. Water is life. Without it, no economy, no technology, and no power can survive. Iran stands at the edge of that truth. A nation forced to choose between collapse and change. Thank you for staying with this story. Thank you for caring about what happens beyond headlines. The world is more connected than ever, and crises in one place are warnings for all. Stay aware, stay thoughtful, and I'll see you in the next video.